inspire.
Welcome back to the Kidney Stone Diet Podcast, a show about reducing your kidney stone risk and living your best life. I'm your host and fellow student, Jeff Saris, and I am laughing because, Jill, you have that smirk. I can see it.
Okay, wait. And I'm Jill Harris, your kidney stone prevention nurse. Let me tell you what. So, for people that are just listening, you can't see us, so it's annoying. I say go on YouTube, but you do you if you like Spotify or Apple Tunes or whatever the hell it is. But what I'm doing is I'm fixing my collar, and I know my mother watches this. Okay, so I know I can hear her screaming at the phone sometimes. Jill, the collar, or fix it, or what are you doing? No one cares about your collar. Look at her, honey. She's fixing her collar as she talks to my stepfather, Mickey. My daddy's might as well be my dad at this point, obviously, after all these years. But I'm just saying, I hear her in my head all the time, and I laugh to myself because I hear her and she makes me laugh, and she ain't even here. How's that for what I was thinking?
We've talked about that. One day, I could definitely see both of you there on that end. That'd be a riot, I think.
I'm going to have to shoot this show by my mother's house because, first of all, she don't drive and she ain't coming by me. That's fact. But believe me, Jeff, you would have your hands full. Let's just say the nut don't fall far from the tree. Let's put it that way.
Nice. But yeah, so this week we are going to dive into another listener question. And
okay, good.
Let me just fire that up right now.
Fired it up, baby. Let's go.
Hi there. This is Katie, and I'm calling from Richmond, Virginia. I first want to say I love, love, love what you're doing. And when I had my first kidney stone about 8 years ago, multiple urologists told me that there was no dietary connection to speak of, and the only advice they gave me was to drink more water, and I knew they were wrong. And I was able to make a couple changes just of my own, but now learning so much more from you has just been wonderful. So thank you. My question is about sugar. I make calcium oxalate stones, and I understand why it's necessary to cut out salt or cut back salt. But I know that cutting back on sugar is a big part of the kidney stone diet. So I'm just curious as to the science behind that. And also for those of us who might have a little bit of a problem, sweet tooth, any advice for how we can cut back on the sugar would be greatly appreciated. And in particular for me, that means desserts. All right. Well, once again, thank you. Bye-bye.
Lots of things. First of all, Katie, I'm so happy. I'm twirling in my chair. I sure am. I'm going to tell you why. A couple things. First of all, I love the name Katie. It's one of my favorites. That, Katie, Angie, love Angela, love all that. So Katie's talking about that she's a sweetie, as I like to call them. Some people are crunchy girls. That's me. Some people are salty girls. I don't even care about crunch. I don't care about salt at all, as long as I can make a lot of noise. Even while I eat people, I like making a lot of noise. Ask my sister. She's always annoyed by me. But I love crunchy things. And some people are sweeties. So first of all, the science, in my own words, Dr. Coe is always like, really? That's how you're going to describe it? But nobody understands what he's saying half the time. So I like to put it in my own terms. Super easy. Sugar acts like salt in a lot of cases, as far as our body is concerned, meaning salt and sugar, too much of it, will pull calcium out of your bone and dump the excess into your urine. When we have excess calcium in our urine, that's where phosphate and oxalate like to find it and connect to it and form these stones. So when we're talking about sugar, we are talking about added sugar. Added sugar. What's added sugar, Jill? Does an apple have added sugar? No. If the food was born with sugar, like an apple, if it was born with sugar, baby, it was born that way. So that is not added sugar. But if you see something that, first of all, the nutrition label, turn it around, Buster Brown. Don't be just looking at the front of a package. It tells you all kinds of bull do. Turn it around. Look at your ingredients. Look at your nutrition label. Look under sugar. Is there underneath sugar? They will parse out how much added sugar is in the product. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Katie, I love you and I love your question. Here's where it gets tricky. And I'll get some hate mail on this. So be it. Makes it fun. Sometimes you're going to see a product that, and I'm falling blank as far as what product it could be. Say it's just a product and it says 0 added sugar. It will say total sugars 15. Underneath, added 0. Added sugar 0. But if you look in the ingredient list, you may see things like honey, molasses, things like that. You would think if you didn't look at the ingredients that there's 0 added sugar in there. Some packages, but that food that you're looking at was not born without, it was born without the honey. So it had to be added for sweetness. So we would buy it. So the company would make money, because if it don't taste good, we ain't buying the product. And therefore that company doesn't make money. Okay, so that's how it all goes. Now, you may say, well, Jill, honey, as you say, is born with sugar. Therefore, it's not added. But once you take honey and then put it into a product, it becomes added sugar. Just does. And this was so confusing that the FDA actually had to have a special law for this. And they had to tell the nutrition label people or the food manufacturers, listen, we know that honey was born with sugar in it. Therefore, it is naturally occurring sugar. But when you take that and put it in a product, that product now has added sugar. Okay, so we count that. Does that mean it's bad for you, honey? No, but what people do is they say, oh, look at this. It's a natural sugar. Therefore, I can eat as much as I want all day long. Well, let's be notice a diabetic ain't eating honey all day long. It's still sugar, people. So you may say, Katie's thinking right now, Jill, I didn't ask about all this. What the hell are you talking about? It's important that when somebody asks a question that we talk about it in its entirety as much as we can in a 15, 20-minute video. So I really like to pack it in. So here's the deal. Added sugar for women, 25 grams of added sugar a day. If you eat an apple, we're not counting that. If you're having a candy bar, that's added sugar. Probably your whole day worth right there. For men, you get 37.5 grams of added sugar. I'm generous. I give you 38 just to get decimal points away. Nobody wants to look at ugly decimal points. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. The American Heart Association says this. We kidney stone people say this. This is what it should be. America says that. That's what it should be. It just happens to fit in our kidney stone diet goals too. So we're not making these up. The less sugar you eat, the less added sugar you eat, the more you will pee. We all know that when we eat too much salt, our dungarees don't fit no more. Yeah, I'm that old. I said that too. Dungarees, jeans, whatever, pants. What a lot of people don't understand is that when we eat too much sugar, added sugar, we also won't pee as much. We will bloat up. Added sugar has the same effect. Added sugar has the same effect as sodium that way. So it's very important. This is why the heart people want us to eat less added sugar as well. So your heart doesn't have to excess pump this stuff. Okay? So it's very, very important. Added sugar will increase urine calcium and will also have you pee less. Some people talk to me and they're like, Jill, I don't know what the hell's going on. I drink like a fish. Ain't nothing coming out of me. Because you're eating too much salt and added sugar. That's why. So your body keeps it in, the excess water. That's why if you go on a low sugar diet, you'll lose weight like this real fast. You'll eventually stabilize, but you will lose weight quickly because you're getting rid of excess water. Again, we know this happens with salt, but it also happens with sugar. So it's interesting. I want to say this because people will take my words and do something else with them. She said no added sugar, Jean. Get me 10 apples right now. 10 apples. That's what I'm going to have, or 10 pears. That doesn't mean that you should eat as much fruit as you want either. Okay. Because again, if you're a diabetic, you still have to watch your overall sugars. So I think it's, as far as vegetables and fruit go, 5 servings a day. So I typically have 2 servings of fruit a day. That's minimum. Maybe I'll have some fruit in a smoothie, and then I will have the rest. I eat a lot of vegetables throughout the day. So I just want to say that doesn't mean you can eat 27 bananas, because there's a lot of sugar in fruit. You want to choose fruit that has higher fiber so you can counteract the sugar, even though it's not added. You still want to watch your total sugars all day. You don't want to be eating, 20 pieces of fruit. Is that clear, Jeff?
Oh yeah. I mean, it absolutely is, because that is, it's a conclusion someone could draw, because like, oh, this isn't added, so it's free reign. But
yes.
Yeah, that's not really how it goes. So when it comes to, Katie mentioned she's also a dessert connoisseur, maybe. But
yeah.
How do you sort of recommend someone who really like loves their desserts and sweets, and how do we start to cut back there?
Well, we do exactly what you just said. We start cutting back. I am not a believer of cutting out, except spinach and almonds, as we know. So I'm not a believer of cutting out. If I told beautiful Katie, look, Katie, no more for you. You like desserts? They're off the menu. She'd be like, you know what, Jill? That would be, I'm shutting you off right now. Look, she's telling me, she's being honest. When I deal with patients or my students in the kidney stone prevention course, I tell them this. You tell me what you really need. I'm going to give it to you, but then I'm going to ask from things for you too. I don't give away free without wanting to take something too. So this is what I would do for Katie if I were working with her. Katie tells me she likes desserts. All right, sister, I hear you. Who the hell doesn't like dessert? But instead of having that bigger, whatever it is, I'm going to ask you to have less of it. Oh, okay, Jill. But if I have a little, I'm going to want more. Then that cannot come in your house. Find desserts that make you happy, but not so happy that your hand doesn't keep going in that bag or box. Okay. So when you eat less of a salty food or a sweet food, you will desire less. Will you desire it no more? No. You're always going to have cravings, but you will crave less. And let me tell you what, Katie, when you start feeling better, you didn't tell me if you would also like to lose some weight. So say Katie is somebody that also would like to lose some weight. When she starts seeing some pounds come off as well, those are motivating things to keep people on track. Please know this. Too much sugar in your diet can increase your risk for strokes, heart disease, chronic kidney disease, diabetes, kidney stones, bone loss, obesity, hypertension, all of those things. So the next time that any of you are like going for your 10th cookie, think about that. Again, I'm not saying that this is easy. And I'm also not telling Katie she can never have dessert again. But I want her to eat less sugar. If she can do less sugar, she will be so much better off. So, Katie, how you start this is you start it. You eat, you want to have your dessert. If that ends your meal every night, if that's the end of your eating and it doesn't, let's just say this. Let me try to get my thoughts together. Sometimes, and I'm this kind of person, I like a little sweet thing after I eat. That also ends the rest of my eating for the night. Okay, so I will cap it off with whatever it is. There are things you can eat that have less calories and less sugar. I will eat no sugar popsicles. They are delicious to me. I have 3 of them. That is 75 calories, 3 popsicles, no added sugar. Sometimes, believe it or not, I'll have a no added sugar fudgicle. Is it chocolate? Does it have oxalate? Yes. But I get my calcium throughout the day, so I don't worry about it. Okay. So that sometimes I'll have, usually it's those 2 things because I like something cold in my mouth because I'm screaming all day long. So those make me happy. Also choose things that make you happy so you are then satisfied. If you're not satisfied, you're going to keep going back in the kitchen every night, people. And that's what you want to stop doing. So pick something that makes you happy, not so much, so you keep going back to it, and limit the quantity you're having. Sometimes pick fruit instead of cake. Does that mean you're giggling and laughing and happy that you picked a pear instead of cake? No. But you're going to feel better afterwards. And again, we're chasing outcomes. If you have a pear instead of 5 cookies after dinner, you're going to feel good about yourself. Plus, the fiber in the pear, about 4 grams, is going to keep you more satisfied. Sometimes, though, we need to feel emotionally satisfied, and a pear ain't it. So you pick something else. You're going to have those nights. I don't care about that. Remember, because Katie may be like, all right, I had some cookies. Now I screwed up. What the hell? I might as well just keep on going. No, the faster you get back to your healthy lifestyle, the better off you'll be. Nobody gains 25 pounds nor a kidney stone with 1 meal or 1 dessert. Get back on track.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's wonderful advice because that's the whole thing. It's just, what are we doing next? We can't really, not demonize, but what's the word? We can't beat ourselves up for what we just ate.
Right. And I'm always saying, look, we're supposed to be nourishing this machine of ours, our body. And I call it machine because women typically, I hate to stereotype, but this is what women tell me all day long. Jill, I can't believe it. I had that chip. I'm terrible. I can't believe it. So I felt so bad. I kept eating all night long. What's the point? There's always a point. There's always the reason to get back on track. What the hell is 1 chip, people? Who cares about that? And again, of course, nobody's getting a bag to have 1 chip. You're eating half a bag. That's what people do. But if you can just control yourself with the portion size, and if you cannot, don't bring that food in your house. There's plenty of foods I don't bring in this house because even I could not control my portion size. So the point is always getting back on track right away. You'll feel better about yourself. The more you eat, the more you feel bad about yourself, the more you eat. We know this about ourselves. Let's break that vicious cycle, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great spot to wrap. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and give a little thumbs up and leave a comment below because that really goes a long way in helping us reach more people. And if you have a question that you would like Jill to answer on a future episode, the number is 773-789-8763, and we will get you featured in the future. But yeah, I think that was great. So if you want to dive deeper too, also head over to kidneystonediet.com and check out the kidney stone prevention course and sign up for the newsletter and everything else that we have going on because there's so much free content, some premium stuff, but all of it is there just to help you along your journey. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this week. We will see you next time.
Bye, everybody. And thank you, Katie. Excellent question. And good luck. Let us know how you're doing with being a sweetie. Bye.